Yo, 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 what's up? So, we're gonna talk about this whole politics and just what's going on in the world of politics and why we are not really moving the needle. Me, I spent my whole entire life, my adult life at least, in politics. I'm talking about 15 years. Started off as an intern, city manager's office, 2011. I worked in the budget departments. I worked in actual departments like transportation. I worked with elected officials, managed political campaigns, lecture on government law, including national government, state and local government, and working on political campaigns, managing these political campaigns. It's just one of the most consistent things that I see, especially among the parties, is this wanting to hold on to the power and the influence of politics, and also just talking to the same base and working with the same base. There is not this expansion to actually get more people involved in the political realm. And then even just the lack of connecting with voters, connecting with people, because especially like now we're in midterm election season 2026, right? And I just really, in my own professional opinion, what changes the dynamics of this election and how people win is being able to get people to the polls. So we know, like in midterm elections, turnout drops like almost 20% during this particular time because people just don't show up to vote. Presidential elections are just one of those things that get more airtime, they have more fanfare around them. But in the midterm elections, this is where your governors, you have your state representatives, your senators, of course, your mayors, your council or commission, depending on what type of government you have. They're up for election, and these are people who actually have more of a direct impact on your experience on a day-to-day basis in local government, more so than national government does. Right. And it's not to say I don't want to go into which one is more important than the other, because I think that both of them are important, and we need to show up and participate in that. But in order to want people to turn up, you have to communicate with voters. You have to communicate with people. You have to communicate with people who may not even be registered to vote, because the other thing that we find ourselves dealing with is the dynamic of people will sign up and they will register to vote. But what they do not do is get up out of their beds, get up out of their homes, go to their polling place and cast a vote. And a lot of times people won't unless they are intrigued, unless they are excited about somebody that they feel represents their interests. And if we have to have a complete, honest conversation surrounding this, these representatives, these people who are running for office, are not making the connection. I cannot say that they don't actually care to represent the interest, but what I can say is that they are not making the connection, making a broader base, especially with younger demographics and younger cohorts of voters. And when it comes to that, when you're talking about people showing up and casting a vote for you, the other thing that's not happening is we're not building a bench. There's not this passing of a baton. There's not this mentorship. There's not this wanting to help build a person up and make improvements in areas where they fall short. There's not an investment at all, a true investment. There is rhetoric that is cast at it, but there are not programmings, there's not workshops, there's not initiatives where people locally are trying to pour into and build up the next generation so that they are able to take over, and that so that they have confidence that this person will succeed them and then carry forward the initiatives that have been put in place, and then also to build new initiatives. I think to inspire and to connect with more voters, you need people from different circles to be able to make that connection, have that connection, so that you can improve those outcomes. And there isn't a strategic plan. There's nobody taking initiative and a strategic plan surrounding it. And even as a person who's been in the game for as long as I have, it's just now where you look, and I kind of started doing these videos and kind of talking about this, because one of the things that is true is when you're working, when you're actually doing the work, you're maybe so focused and maybe so tied down to doing it that you're not trying to be the front facing person. Like I always get skeptical of the person that wants to be seen, the person who is doing things and wants to record themselves out at protests or in the room on panel discussions and whatever, who's always trying to make themselves seem like they're out there. Because what you cannot fake is what policies have you passed. What you cannot fake is what legislations have you got through? What money have you brought in to help for particular initiatives? You can't fake that, but you can get on bullhorns, you can get in front of a camera and you can pontificate and educe all of this colorful rhetoric, but the actual impact, the dollars, the $500 million going to the South Side, the $6 million going into communities that have been significant, have been experiencing underinvestment and disinvestment. Like you can't fake that because that's the real work that is being done. And then also, we kind of hurt ourselves too when we have one issue voters. When you're a person and you want to make your decision based off of a person doing one thing that you agree with, or you have disagreements on maybe one or two issues with them, and not understanding the multitude of issues that a person has to deal with on a daily basis, not the high profile things, but just like the day to day allocation of dollars. When you make those decisions, you can also really hurt yourself and hurt your community when you deal with that and you end up hurting the forward progress. Because a lot of the times that what I see is that people fall in love with what they hear, and when you look at results and you ask for the person the results, okay, what did you say you were going to do? And then how's that matched up with what you've done? There's a total disconnect there. There's not a bridge that crosses from one side to the other, that crosses from the verbiage that is used into the actual policy implementation. So I think until there is a real concerted effort for those who are interested to work in the realm of politics to go outside of the insiders that are always at the table and to connect with those, make a true connection with those who may be on the fence about wanting to vote, and really explaining to people that voting is an individual sport and how it is something that is as separate as the fingers on a hand. You don't, that doesn't yield anything, that doesn't have any power if you just are using your finger, but understanding that it is about your individual action and activity that contributes to a collective outcome. So now, as the individual fingers exist as they are, they're weak. But once they come together as a fist, it has a collective impact and shows dominance and strength when used correctly. And so when people are not really that excited about voting, it's a lot of times they're thinking about it from an individualistic perspective, and they don't understand how either the removal or contribution has a direct impact on the outcome. And we need to get better at explaining that to people and helping them understand that, but also knowing that, understanding process, right? A lot of people don't understand process and why people today need to either take civics courses, they need to read books on voting, understanding how bills work, understanding that just because you have somebody in there who's championing something, if he or she has a lot of detractors that they're surrounded by, then them wanting to push forward their initiatives and their goals may not be able to happen because it's not enough support, because they kind of need a team, because voting and politics is all about numbers. And when you don't understand the numbers, which means you don't count your votes, or you don't understand the numbers on how much something is going to cost, or what is the cost benefit analysis of it, and then you may experience some hardships and you may be disheartened as a supporter because this person that you wanted to put in office is not getting these things done. And so there has to be a understanding and collective conversation from those of us who work in the field. And I just feel like for me to recognize this and see this and not say anything about it, then I would kind of be doing a disservice as well, recognizing and then continue on to further this same issue. You have to be skeptical.